Hello, hi. This is yours truly, Clarice T, and today is the 12th of May 2025, and it's a special day for us. And this is my proof that I have done my part as a citizen of the Philippines. So today we have a midterm election from the local to the national offices, the senatorials. Uh, but the president, of course, and the vice president will not be held until in the next 3 years. So that will be 2028. So for now, I just want to share this information because it's also what some a helpful tip because like here in Lucena City, because yours truly had made preparations for my petition, for my formal claims to be heard outside of the Quezon province. The premise is that those who will be hearing us speak or relate to each other would be they are bound to have a some kind of a zero preconceived notions about our tradition, about our custom, and that as we are mandated to have everything written down, it will be as if the audience or the readers are strangers who will decide on our fate. So the irony is that it has gone on for several years between us, and it did not resolve satisfactory with sufficient satisfaction for everyone concerned. And now, because the jurisdiction is going to fly to another locality, to another district, to another sovereign country. So there is a premise that even though we can speak with each other in our native language, especially if you are a Filipino and I am a Filipino, and that it's just that there is a document where both our names are written there, and that we have, especially in documents where signatures had been rendered to attest that the information contained in the critical documents are true and correct. And what does it say? What should it give or take away from a person who has been named as the person who had requested and been granted that those kinds of certifications? So it would be as if, like I watched this trial in the US, and then of course there isn't any live coverage for trial here in the Philippines. And since we are US bound, since we are the jurisdictions are now in the US about some of the personal and business concerns of yours truly, then it pays for me to have some kind of background, real background, so I will not be as clueless as I was before. And so the one on the stand was asked about, excuse me, I'm so full. We just had a very late lunch. Okay, and then he was asked, is your name, what is your name? Like, if my name is John Smith, and then I heard somebody said, I think it's a lawyer or the judge. I know your name is John Smith. But for formality's sake, this is for the record, like a nod will not be acknowledged because a nod is a body language and it cannot be written down as a transcript or part of a transcript because only verbal communication can be recorded. So I want to say that for any like posters with actionable information like this contains this song that had been released by this singer and that the company who made this possible is also written there. And because of this company's business operation, it was released to various outlets, to various online music stores. So in that piece of public information, which is yes, there are usually graphics and the photos of the singer and the artist are there, and the different interplay of rights, like for instance, I cannot present the photo of another person which will be regarded as the person of the singer, like the physical appearance, the identification, the biometrics. And so it can be like a very public face, a very acknowledged, identified physical attributes of a person. But if it's the identification will be done, say, within the context of like in the Justice Department or in the legal action or in the level wherein a lawyer will try to communicate to the other party that he or she has been hired to make this known to other parties. And the lawyer will present also some documents in support of the formal legal letter. And even from that level, it's already a serious matter if the basis of any communication between lawyers, the supporting papers would be fraudulently done, like a false submission by the supposed client as basis for the legal action. More so when things like progress up to the judicial level, like the Justice Department or the district attorney's office, yes, the district attorney's office can find probable cause or that there would be no agreement between parties and it will progress to be litigated, to be tried by the judge who will mediate finally on the unresolved disputes. It will be like, okay, another terminology that I believe I can substitute will be the stakeholders. Like, for instance, for a piece of announcement with information where you can go to be able to download this music, and you have to pay for them. So all the information, and it has been proven to be true and correct, and that because of the information that had been fed to the social media, to any promotional and marketing tools, then it became an actionable information. And so therefore, it will be divided between the stakes would be divided between the stakeholders or the interest. The It is my interest to be known and regarded as the person Claristi, right? And the another stakeholder will be the company whom I had submitted my credentials, and everything had been done with the presumption of innocence, the presumption of regularity. And if we had done everything by the book, and along the way something had happened to question the validity and the legitimacy of the transaction, it is also the credibility of the company. It is also the my co-stakeholder in this will be the company whom I had regarded as the means for my music releases to be available in the market. So it is not just me, yours truly. If within, like, especially here in Lucena City, that my name had been kind of a joke, that in times past, I had not been taken seriously about anything that had to do with a more serious profession that I had. This time around, like, even in personal matters, we are going to be asked to substantiate everything that we claim as our right, and if we insist on it, it is always the accuser and the alleger. Is there a word as such as alleger? Those who make an allegation or accuses another person to have the burden of proof. And sometimes, if the burden of proof will be relying upon the custom and tradition, like the nuances of what they can find here in Lucena City, in this setting, even if like a foreigner or of whatever nationality will become embroiled in some controversies, it will still matter how the law of the land will regard what had transpired here, from whose lens, and from what kind of perspective. So it is disingenuous that, for instance, one who is familiar with American laws, with U.S. laws, and then when these things are heard or are sorted out, like within the U.S. jurisdiction, and we are bound to, like, if we are going to assert that a different kind of a different kind of accommodation should be made because we are Filipinos and this is our customs and tradition. I'm afraid that it will not be just on a matter of say-so, because at this point in time, the equalizing factor will be that there is a person on the opposite side of the conflict, or of the argument or the cause, who deserves some kind of proof, like the basis of the said to be uniqueness and like the tradition that we have here in the Philippines. Like if there is a special accommodation for our girl meets boy or boy meets girl, or like a different kind of like being a go-between to two parties, or whatever would would be used as basis for the actions and decisions, if it will be accommodated outside of Quezon province, outside of the Philippines. Everything has to be written down, and the other party can obviously go through the documents and the evidence. Like if we're both Filipinos and you would like bring out the costume and tradition of Filipinos, I can also say that I do not share that tradition, and I'm also a Filipino. So where will that leave us? Something to that effect, right? Because at this point in time, as I had gone through the eye of the needle before anything could be accepted, this is not a payback time, but I regard it as a discipline and as a preparation for the kind of demeanor, for the kind of patience that will be needed in going, in sorting out, in having to sit still in order to give the respect, in order to observe the protocol, because everyone is allowed or should have the right, everyone has the right to present the defense, or to prove the basis for any allegations or accusations formally. So, what I had gone through, which is like being second guessed and being asked to elaborate if there is a problematic or inconsistency in my, say, in my statement for the day, and then when the situation changes, I should also I should be able to provide the basis for the changes, something like that. So this was a practice that had an I would think it's a positive thing, because it taught me to be patient and to be accommodating, to really listen intently to what is being said by another person, especially in a group, not to insist on my way. We call that here in the Philippines, in Lucena City, as being bastos. Like if I don't like what you're saying, I can just get up, turn my back on you, walk away, or do something to express my sentiment. If it's anger, if it's irritation, make no bones about it, something like that. So at this point in time, everything will be written down, and at the end of the day, it will depend on the judge whether to accommodate the assertion that everything had been done through the local tradition and costume. Like Tagalog, I would very much be labeling it as Tagalog, because we are Tagalog speaking Filipinos, and as a Filipino would know, we have different regional differences and languages. It's sometimes it's advantage, sometimes it's not. Others contend that this is the basis for disunity, but others would assert that it's the flavor. It complements with each other. So it really depends on the perspective, whether how things are going to be to our advantage or disadvantage. So I'm just saying that things would be somehow different, and that for a more efficient and faster processes, it will help if we would take into account like the context wherein we will be heard by a stranger, by someone who cannot possibly know or is bound to the formality of reading and not taking anything for granted as part of the custom or tradition, but will expect to read the justification for any arbitrary and any discrepancy of like decision making, the narratives, especially that it infringes on the rights of others. So that is actually what is going to happen to us. And for me, it helps not to be overly emotional because it's going to affect the objectivity, and it's going to the novelty of it, because this would be happening for the first time for other parties, wherein they would have to bear their hearts and their souls, what their thinking process, and put them on paper to be read, to be appraised, and for the other party to go through it. It will be a different kind of how should I put it? The I just it was my reality for the last decades, and now you would appreciate. I hope that I pray that as it has, some things are like a bitter pill to swallow, but actually in the final analysis, they were helpful. Like I had gotten to know myself more, and I was able to have a very intimate relationship with the source of help, which is, of course, made real to me by my faith. I hope that you would also accept it as natural, as God's way for us to move forward. I am not going as far as to say that what comes around goes around, although it has some elements in it. But really, if I believe myself that I had to go through it, not because I am blaming the people who had been instrumental in putting me on the spot, but because, in this life we will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. Since we all believe that Jesus has said that not only to the apostles, but also as a way to plant as a message for the apostles to become our heirlooms, to be passed on to generation to generation. Those are the words of wisdom that had been entrusted. So if I was able to believe that and put it to my heart, I hope that as this happens to other Filipinos as well, to go through it, it's the giving an account. it is bound to happen sooner or later. So be glad, let's be glad that it's happening sooner rather than later, because we can still be made right if we harvest out of deeds that should not have happened, yes, because of sins, then there is still time to make it right. And yeah, I also would like to say that in times past, before I got to be, before I really hit the bottom, before I got to scrape the bottom, before before I came face to face with my worst side, I too could easily be so unmerciful in my harshness, in my righteousness, self-righteousness. But nowadays, the first thought that would come to my mind would be, the worst person that I will meet at that time, when I would be so mad or I would be so pissed. The first thing that would come to my mind nowadays would be that this person has a God. This person has a creator, and it's not me. So I do not know what God intends for this person, what he intends, how he intends to reach out to this person, and I cannot obstruct. I cannot, I do not dare judge this person and join the bandwagon and not leave room for how God can surprise me, as his ways are higher than mine. And he works in ways, that is, his ways are not mine. He thinks and he looks at us from a different perspective. So we should give him that. Humanly speaking, it is so obvious that, wrongs are wrongs, and that if we are hurt or they call that what the blameless, if it happens between a married couple and it becomes like a no fault divorce, like a blameless, is there such a thing, a no fault divorce, like irreconcilable differences. So what I just want to say is that I hope that for every person that I will meet, I don't hope to be a source of heartache or anything that will take away from what God intends for all of us to have. And if that happens, I would be it would be so unfortunate, because it will happen, as I am also not perfect. But I truly hope that in the coming days, the generalizations of, because I'm speaking in generalities and I'm being very cryptic, it would be more definitive depending on the level of information that can become public or that can stay within the privacy of the different parties. So this is yours truly, Claristi, and it's the 12th of May. And I just want to say that thank you so much, and Let's hope for the best now and in the coming days. Thanks.